It took 43 years for Marine Sergeant, then PFC, Daniel L. Hernandez, to finally receive his Silver Star. And when he did, on a Saturday morning in Boyle Heights, the Vietnam veteran stood at attention, filled with emotion and pride. Lieutenant Jim Lepori read from the Silver Star Medal citation that due to lost paperwork was never awarded to Hernandez. But the story of Hernandez's Silver Star transcends heroics in the midst of a firefight 43 years ago. His is a uniquely American rags-to-riches story, akin to a Horatio Alger tale in the modern era. It's a story of a lifetime's commitment to family, community, and country. The 4-decade wait only made the honor more meaningful to Hernandez, as several hundred relatives, friends, and fellow veterans gathered for a ceremony in his honor at the Hollenbeck Youth Center. Governor Schwarzenegger, Congresswoman Lucille Roybal Allard, Major General John F. Kelly, and a host of other state and city leaders were in attendance. Hernandez, together with the support of former LAPD Chief and present-day City Councilman Bernard Parks, the late Mayor Tom Bradley, and the longtime collaboration with former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, reinvented the dynamic between police and the people following the 1992 LA riots. Their efforts have formed the basis for what is now commonly known as community-based policing.
Danny Hernandez and his family have put together the Hollenbeck Youth Center, the Inner City Games, and it's been a 30-year process to do that. That they have highlighted over time people that have been important to the community, and they have developed so many of these young people in the community.
They came in support of a man they had known for decades as a community leader, president of the Hollenbeck Youth Center, and founder of the Inner City Games. He is considered a hero in Boyle Heights, not for his bravery in battle, but rather for his community mobilization skills and his vitally important work developing innovative after-school programs designed to keep at-risk youth from gangs and drugs. Very few ever knew that Hernandez was also a war hero, but his captain, Chuck Ladding, did.
And he came from the streets. He had been a warrior all his life, so he knew what warfare was. He knew how to be a warrior. He knew what it was to take charge.
The unassuming East LA native was raised by a single mother during the 1950s. At 18, although working in a factory in Vernon, he left the streets of East LA behind and joined the U.S. Marine Corps. He soon found himself at Camp Pendleton in basic training, where he befriended fellow East LA native Johnny Enriquez.
That's where you get a U.S. Marine Corps. That's rough. You make it through there and you come out, you're a Marine through and through. Well, first of all, he was a homeboy. He was from East Los Angeles, too. So that was, a special thing. Somebody at least you know from home.
Both Danny and Johnny Enriquez were deployed to Vietnam as frontline warriors. Danny as a machine gunner and Johnny as a mortarman with M Company, 3rd Battalion, 1st Marine Division, at a time when the war's escalation was well underway. His company and battalion were heavily engaged during the Vietnam War and took substantial casualties. In March of 1966, Hernandez was recommended for a Silver Star following an intense, bloody battle during Operation Utah in Quang Ngai Province, in which hundreds of Marines and thousands of VC were reported killed or wounded. That day, as the official citation notes, over 24 hours, the 19-year-old Marine confronted and neutralized numerous enemy positions. After securing a machine gun bunker, Hernandez noticed a squad pinned down by hostile fire. And then he spotted a wounded Marine laying in an open field. Without hesitation, he dashed from his coverage position to the side of his comrade. While tending his wounds, he was struck by a hostile round to his back, knocking him to the ground. Despite having been hit, Hernandez was able to drag his fellow Marine to a secure area to await medical evacuation. Although wounded himself, Hernandez refused to be evacuated and returned to the battle. Later on, Hernandez confronted Viet Cong on all-out assault with automatic firepower, targeting scores of wounded Marines awaiting evacuation. He terminated the danger, saving the lives of over a dozen fellow Marines. Johnny Enriquez recalls the brutal battle.
So I'm back in the area. There's about at least 16, 17 wounded. All our ammo, we were giving it up to the fight because we didn't have enough ammunition. So none of us were armed. Then out of nowhere, the Viet Cong popped out of a hole, started shooting at us. And you could see the corpsmen, their perplexed looks on their face. They didn't know who to cover. They threw their bodies over the wounded. And just at that time, Danny coming up. And he assaulted that hole. And he fired and alone, just went into that hole and fired until it was nothing. If it wasn't for Danny there, I don't know how many of us would have perished. He probably would have gotten all of us, 16, 17 wounded personnel there.
Undaunted, later that evening, Hernandez was involved in yet another firefight and took a bullet to the head. He was finally evacuated to Guam. Although some of Hernandez's heroics that day were duly noted by his commanding officer, much of his bravery was lost to the fog of war. Lieutenant Lepore eventually recommended Hernandez for the Silver Star, and although after returning home, Danny did receive a Purple Heart, due to lost paperwork, the Silver Star was never awarded. 4 decades later, in 2005, Robert Stamps, a former Marine in Hernandez's platoon, saw Danny on television with Arnold Schwarzenegger promoting the Inner City Games project in East Los Angeles.
Oh, in the service, he was a hard charger. He was always right there. He was in good shape, ready to go at all times. And like I said, when things got tough, he was the one right up front leading the charge.
Stamps reached out to Danny and reunited him with their former commanding officer, Lieutenant Jim Lepore.
I got our platoon commander together. The three of us went to lunch, and that's when we found out that he didn't get the Silver Star he was put up for.
Lepore asked Hernandez about the Silver Star and was surprised to learn it had never been awarded. Lepore decided to go on mission one more time and spent 3 years preparing a new Silver Star application on Hernandez's behalf. Finally, in early 2009, Lepore was notified by the Pentagon's awards office that Hernandez's medal was approved. During a 2-hour ceremony at the Hollenbeck Youth Center, Hernandez quietly looked on from the stage as 2 of his former supervisors retold the story in detail. Marines in the room, some of them former comrades who witnessed his bravery, cheered Semper Fi and welcome home Danny. Major General John F. Kelly drove from Camp Pendleton to present the medal to Hernandez. When Hernandez stepped behind the microphone, he thanked each of the people who helped him receive his Silver Star. And he dedicated the honor to all the Marines who fought in Operation Utah, and also expressed his pride to have served with M Company, 3rd Battalion, 1st Division. According to Hernandez, I did not own valor. It was not exclusive to me. We all owned valor. M Company owned valor.